guys, Dawson Weidrich here from Nerdy in Many Ways. Now if you're wondering why my voice is a little more quiet or I'm a little bit more hoarse, it's just because I just got done commentating a men's basketball game for Southern Virginia University, and if you want to see that, you can click this link right up here. Today is going to be a college football weekly recap. This is college football's 12th week of the 150th season of college football, and a lot of crazy things happened this week. And so basically I'll go through some of the news as well as the top games of the week, and then like I usually do, I go off into the college football playoff rankings that came out this week and kind of discuss my thoughts about them. So first things first, one of the major pieces of news from this week was that Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback of Alabama, suffered a major season-ending injury, and it's actually been compared to Bo Jackson's career-ending injury. It's an injury in the hip, but luckily for Tua Tagovailoa, they were able to put everything back in place in time to where now he can have a faster recovery to where he can participate with the team as early as spring, and so it's really great news to hear. Also, what a week of a lifetime for fans of football teams in Iowa. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, note to self, do not play an Iowa team when they're wearing all black uniforms. You just don't do it. Just chalk it up as a loss. Don't even travel. Don't even waste your time. Just don't play there if they're wearing all black, because what happened this weekend will most likely happen. Iowa State was able to get the last second victory over Texas with a field goal, a 36-yard field goal, and they're able to upset Texas again. As I've said before, Texas has kind of underachieved this year, according to what their expectations were at the beginning of the year. But regardless, it's still a great upset for Iowa State. And then you go a little bit ways across the state, you go to University of Iowa, where they played against then 8th-ranked Minnesota, and then one of the few undefeated teams left in the country. And Minnesota the week before, I raved about them because they were able to pretty much dismantle Penn State, who was number 4 in the rankings at that time. And I even complained a lot as to why they weren't ahead of some one-loss teams in the college football rankings. And I kind of need my own words this week, as Minnesota just wasn't able to get it done against Iowa. I mean, they fell into a 20-6 hole early on and slowly climbed out of there, but weren't ever actually able to get back to where they wanted to be. And Iowa's pass defense on pass plays that were like 20 yards or more was absolutely fantastic. It was something that Penn State wasn't able to do against Minnesota the week before, but Iowa did a fantastic job with that. In other news, Baylor University decided to rename their football team the Falcons in the second half of their game against Oklahoma. Yes, the magic number 28-3 was a curse for Baylor University this week, as they had a 28-3 halftime lead over Oklahoma and Jalen Hurts. I mean, people were posting all over Instagram and Twitter saying like, holy cow, this is insane, Baylor's for real. And then Jalen Hurts in Oklahoma happened, and Baylor just could not do anything in the second half. They only scored 3 points in the second half compared to the 28 in the first, and Jalen Hurts was able to throw for 4 touchdown passes and lead a massive comeback at Baylor University. So as I said earlier on, I kind of had to eat some of my own words this weekend, and this is of course due to the college football rankings. When they came out last week, I was upset that Minnesota was ranked lower than Oregon and Utah, both having one loss at the time, Minnesota at the time being undefeated. Long story short, Utah and Oregon got the job done, and Minnesota didn't. So basically, I just want to go through the rankings, the top 4, as well as the couple of teams that are on the outside looking in. And first off, it's LSU at number 1, obviously, although their defense did look a little vulnerable this past week against Ole Miss. Then at number 2, we have Ohio State, who has just been fantastic and blowing everybody out as of late. I mean, scoring 73 points against Maryland, and then 56 again this week. And at number 3, you have Clemson, which is no surprise. Clemson took care of business yet again, this time against Wake Forest. Number 4, you have Georgia, who was able to pull out a victory over Auburn 21-14, and able to, I guess, get a good conference win. At number 5, you have Alabama, which really is not a surprise. I mean, they beat Mississippi State 35-7. They did lose Tua Tagovailoa for the season, but Jones should be able to come in and take over things well for Alabama. Then at number 6, you have Oregon, and number 7, Utah. And I talked a lot about them last week, and I talked about my grievances with the Pac-12 and how I don't feel like they should be getting as much respect as they're getting this year. But again, Oregon and Utah took care of business, and so with both Baylor and Minnesota being out of the picture as no longer being undefeated, I am more okay with where Oregon and Utah are at now. Like I just mentioned, I'm okay with these rankings. These rankings seem pretty solid to me. I have no real complaints. I feel like that LSU definitely is the number 1 team in the land, but again, I mentioned how they struggled defensively against Ole Miss. Yeah, Joe Burrow, in my opinion, he's a Heisman winner this year. If he even continues to do half of what he'd done this past couple weeks in the next couple, he'll win the Heisman. No doubt about it in my mind. So that's my short and sweet recap of Week 12 of college football 2019. Again, a lot of exciting things happened, but the rankings are fine in my opinion. I don't really think there's anything really to worry about. Although it is crunch time, late in the season, you start to see the conference matchups, the conference championship games. Things really start to shape up. And so we'll see what happens this next week. So thank you guys so much for watching. Again, make sure to like and subscribe on your way out. Be sure to check out my other college football weekly recaps on this channel. And I will see you next time.